Hello everybody and welcome to another Premodern video. Today we're going to be playing a deck that I'm very excited about. I have been thinking about a show like this for a while, but never really, put pedal to the metal with it. And what happened in Spanish Nationals, like maybe last month or the month before at this point, I don't know. But this deck actually took second place. So I'm really excited to give it a shot. So let's dive right into it. And what we are looking at is Madness Infestation. So this is a deck that uses Survival of the Fittest and Zombie Infestation in conjunction to get a lot of value, to get a lot of power into play, and start spitting out zombies thanks to the synergies between Squee and Krovikan Horror, which you can discard in order to both start to make tutus or to make massive wild mongrels that can start to attack. This also plays the engine of Baskin Rootwalla, Survival, and Gaia's Cradle. So that angle is also very, very strong. And then the big innovation that Spanish Nationals brought was the fact that they were playing Burst of Paradise, which I think worked really, really well because this deck's mana base is a nightmare. Like, it's very, very bad because we want to have a bunch of green mana for survival, but we also want to be casting our therapies, infestations and stuff. The mana is heinous, but this is as good as it can get, and Burst of Paradise really do a lot of work in helping that out. But what this deck is doing that I thought was very, very cool and a great innovation from the Spanish National list is the fact that it was playing a bunch of very, very interesting one-offs that I tried to, trim the fat a little bit and try to make it a little bit more streamlined. But we have one Octavio Orangutan, one Bone Shredder, one Masticore, one Nantuko Vigilante, and then two Ravenous Veloth, as well as the two Arrogant Worm that you would expect to see alongside Wild Mongrel. So we're going to see how this deck actually works out. We're going to see what makes it tick. Yeah, I'm very excited to be casting Wild Mongrel. This new shell looks very, very promising. It's playing a bunch of very, very strong cards, which is what really drew me to this version of the deck. Like the fact that you get to play cards like Engineer Plague, Plague Spitter, Duress, like this kind of cards. The blue-green Madness version of the deck has been really struggling to deal with creatures, and this deck is actually pretty decent at dealing with creatures. So you can go over the list if you want to see it in detail. All the cards are pretty self-explanatory, but the strategy is going to be a lot of fun. Buckle up and let's get ready to play some Madness creatures. Round number one, what do we got here? Pretty good mana, but our hand is just a little bit too underpowered. I think I'll ship it. This is a risky one. So if we find a green source, we are probably going to be in pretty okay shape. Especially Cradle plus Zombie plus Survival is kind of a pretty sick combo. I think I'm going to mulligan this one too. Okay, this one I'm keeping, so let's keep. We're going to bottom Octavi and bottom Arrogant Worm. Basic Swamp, Dark Ritual, Spectre. Okay, now that I drew that, I'm going to just take the hit here on the off chance that the Hypnotic Spectre hit actually discards my Rootwalla. We get punished if my opponent hits the basic Swamp, but oh my god, they hit the Survival. That sucks. Worst possible case scenario. I guess I'll play out the Mongrel and send the turn back. Man, that's so sad that they hit the Survival. That's kind of the only card that I really cared about them discarding. Here I'm gonna take a hit because I really would want, like, this is a 30% chance that they discard the Cradle, and otherwise we just get a Rootwalla. So now we're gonna have Rootwalla plus Cradle going, which is pretty cool. I could not play, nice. I could not play anything because if we top deck Survival, the thing is that we get to swing for a bunch here. Like, we're gonna be able to buff both Rootwallas. They bolt my Mongrel, okay. We still get to buff both Rootwallas, so this is just fine. So now, buff them both, hit for 6, not bad. They're gonna get to take my Forest with the Spectre, but these Rootwallas are kind of doing it. And notably, my opponent's playing black-red, so if I do land the Survival, they have no answer to it. At least game 1. Game 2, they get access to Dystopia. Go fetch a basic mountain. Let's see what now. There's no way they have main deck Power Glass and Erratic Explosion. Okay. That's a card, I guess. So I guess now I get to... Oh no, this reveals from the top of the deck. Okay, so I guess we're discarding anyway. So I might as well get a look at their hand. So if they had Lightning Bolt, they would have used it. They don't have a land because they missed a land drop. So what could there be in their hand? The thing I'm most scared of would be Skeletal Scrying, so I think that's what we're gonna name. Flame Tongue Kabu and Blazing Spectre. Those are cards, I guess. I do get to flashback, but I think my better shot here is to hope that my opponent just never finds a land. If they find a land, I'm going to lose, but If they don't, at least I'm still in this. Oh, they just revolt. Forest, pass the turn. If they find the land, then I'm gonna be in pretty rough shape because the Blazing Spectre is just gonna race me. They also have FTK, which is really hot. City of Brass. We're not looking great here. I wonder if they have the Muse. Phyrexian Arena, I guess. There's no way my opponent doesn't attack, so I get to flash in the Arrogant Worm. Also, they still missed on a land drop. This is kind of a big deal, actually. So now they need to kill this worm, otherwise I win the race. Dark Red into Flame Tongue. Yeah, that sucks. Well played by my opponent, by the way. They could have just, you know, played Blazing Spectre and just gone for it, but instead they chose to play around me having a creature there. So that was pretty cool. Alright, game number 2. Let's get out this Bone Shredder, which is not gonna do much. And let's bring in Genesis. Maybe they have Mishra's Factory? I don't know. I think I like Vigilante. I don't think I care about Uktabi. Let's go with Duresses instead. Mesmeric Fiend is weird because, like, I kind of want this effect, like discard effects, but Mesmeric Fiend is kind of like the one discard spell that I don't really want against the deck, like my opponent, which is probably going to be bringing in stuff like Pyroclasm and whatnot. They have Dark Ritual, so I'm going to guess that they have Mishra's Factory, which is a reason to bring in the Savos Web. Maybe Savos Web is better than the Duress. We'll see. Man, this hand is rough. I mean, this deck's mana is just not very good. Like, we knew this going in, right? Okay, I'm gonna keep this. I think I actually play the Rootwalla on turn 1 so that I can start clocking. I'm not gonna play the second one, I don't think. But I think playing out the first one makes sense. Dark Red into Arena. Yeah, that's not great. That's not great. If we find the Black Source, we're gonna be cooking, but... because I don't think my opponent's going to have a good way of working around the Zombie Infestation. They took one Zombie Infestation and probably the other one here. Yeah. Okay, double the rest. One turn too late. So let's go ahead and cast this Cabal Therapy. We're going to name Hypnotic Spectre. Insidious Dreams. Huh. Okay. I guess that's a card. So let's swing in for 3. I guess we can flashback this Therapy next turn and take the Insidious Dreams. Actually, we don't care about this. If my opponent breaks me down, if they make me take 16, that's totally fine. Mesmeric Fiend takes the Rootwalla. We'll continue chugging along. Well, I guess I might as well. I guess I should have attacked first. So now we're gonna take the Insidious Dreams, and they have the rest. Okay, cool. And this Rootwalla is doing stuff. Play a Bloodstained Mire, which is actually... the 1 point of damage may matter. Hopefully I don't have a Lightning Bolt or something. Looks like no removal. Swing first. I'll definitely pump. If it forces the removal from my opponent, that's a removal spell that doesn't go towards the Mongrel. Okay, so they did have the removal spell. Now I get to cast the Mongrel. Unfortunately, I cannot save the Mongrel to get the engine going with Survival in case I draw it. But so they have Duress and 3 unknowns. Play Hypnotic Spectre and pass the turn. Okay, I'm going to swing. And I'm going to discard this Zombie Infestation to save the Mongrel. If my opponent wants to double block, I guess I still do the same. Alternatively, I could just trade 1 for 1. Interesting. So how does this work with Arena? They're going to take 1 point. They're going to take 2 down to 5. Then 1 down to 4. Yeah, I think that it's more valuable to have the Zombie Infestation in play, actually. Because, like, this makes my draws better. Like, especially if I find a Squee or something. Obviously, I'm not going to just pass the turn because then the card just gets taken by the Hypnotic Spectre. But just by leaving the Zombie Infestation in play, it actually gives me game if I draw Squee. Okay, guess I have to play that out. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I should have buffed. My opponent would be at 1 less life in racing this Arena. Masticore would be a decent draw. Yeah, these are not it. So it looks like we're just going to take 5 here. And I can't really race the Arena anymore, unfortunately. We're going to take 5. My opponent's going to win the game at 1 life because of the 1 point that I did not. I have this stupid Zombie Infestation sitting here and I'm going to lose the game. Yeah. Oh my god. Is this it? Okay, I mean, I'm doing it. If they have Bolt, I die to the City of Brass, but I can just sack. Oh, they have the Bolt. Oh, man! Ah, come on. Really? This is not fair. Alright, I guess this is how this goes. That was fun, though. I mean, yeah, I think I just misevaluated the value of this Zombie Infestation, and it turns out that the 1 point of damage was a lot more valuable than this thing here. But yeah, good to know. Good to know, and a very interesting game whenever you end up racing an Arena. See you for the next round. Round number 2, we're on the draw. This hand seems reasonable. We can Therapy in 1, turn 2, Infestation. We have some Rootwalla action. Opponent keeps 7. You have to be really good with therapy with this deck, because you'll probably end up doing a lot of guessing. Turn 1 Wooded Foothills. Okay, I'm gonna go for Oath of Druids. Is the card that I lose to the hardest. My opponent could just be playing Burn, right? But without having any information and without being able to slow roll this... Oh man, feels good to be this good. Wooded Foothills. I already know all I need to know. We're fine. Oh, interesting. Pitching the Factory instead of pitching the Carplusum Forest? I don't think I like that. So opponent Thermokarst. Okay, so I get to take another Thermokarst here, which is fine. They have a library. So library is going to allow my opponent to refuel a little bit, but we get to play on. That's cool. Okay, so let's play some Infestation. And next turn on end step, I guess we're going to get a 2/2, a Rootwalla, and an Arrogant Worm. So we're going to be going wide on my opponent. They're taking some damage. They take 8. Interesting. Straight up taking 8. If my opponent blow ups a land, I'm going to... Okay, they have Wasteland. So I can just Zombie Infestation to get some dudes into play here. That's a Terravore. That's kind of annoying. So I can't really attack, so there's no reason for me to do it now, I guess. That's nice. So let's play the Survival, pass the turn back. And now we're going to be in a spot where we are going to have some choices to make. My opponent too. Don't naturalize my Survival, please. Winter's Grass. Okay, that's pretty good. So if they attack, I'm just going to make some dudes here. And if I draw a land, I'm going to be cooking. So my best land to draw would be Cradle, obviously. But I do get to swing for 3, potentially threaten to do some more stuff. It's not bad. That is not bad at all. So we're just going to swing here. And I guess I want to activate Survival right now. Not going to get the Madness value, unfortunately. But we can get Krovikan Horror or Squee. What do we want to get? I can get Krovikan Horror, discard the Krovikan Horror. No, but I don't get it back, so that's not worth doing. I can get Basking Rootwalla. Yeah, that puts another dude into play. We can get Pyroclasmed here. There's not much I can do about that. Once again, my best draw is Gaia's Cradle. Next turn I can swing for 4, but my opponent swings for 6. I can get Krovikan Horror, make a dude. I still think it's better for me to get Rootwallas here. Oh, actually, I made a mistake. I should have gotten Squee, and then Squee gets Rootwalla. No, that still doesn't do anything. Yeah, we're just 1 mana away from actually truly popping off. Opponent swings. Makes sense. It's pretty brutal that all my lands were... that my land here was a pain land. Yeah, there's the Pyroclasm. Mishra's Factory is also pretty brutal. So here comes the Rootwalla. We're gonna need to do some chump blocking. I really need to find a way to pull ahead. So I think here we're taking Krovikan Horror. Untap. It's not bad. So let's Squee Krovikan Horror. Man, if I was only 1 mana short of Bone Shredder. Maybe that was the line. Maybe last turn I should have just YOLO'd there. Basking Rootwalla is not the worst, however. Because now I get to put some stuff in front of this Terravore. I'm going to be at 4 though. This is close. Yeah, I guess we get another Krovikan Horror. Then we pitch this Horror. So we get back the other one. Now we get Squee. And now main phase. We discard both of these to make it zombie. Now we're gonna get back both Krovikan Horrors, which allows me to make another zombie. Feels like this is the best way to go about this. And now we double block the Terravore. No, we make another zombie, we double block Terravore, and I guess we trade with the Factory if my opponent attacks, which also grows the Terravore. Ugh, this Terravore's getting out of hand. Don't know if there's much I can do about it. Oh, they just serve. We have to hope here. We can't really play around anything. So here we're just going to attempt to trade. Oh, okay, that worked. Well, there you go. This also brings back the Horrors, which is nice. Another Terravore. Okay, so we can't beat Oath, so we're not going to be playing around Oath. I'm just going to be making a bunch of dudes every turn. So we do that. Okay, that's nice, actually a nice pickup. So now what we want to do is we want to use the last one to get Bone Shredder. Survival, pitch Krovikan Horror, get another Krovikan Horror, survival, pitch another Horror. I guess here we get Rootwalla. Get Rootwalla, activate some Infestation, discard both of these, order them like so, get a 2/2 zombie, pass the turn, bring back my Horrors. Once again, we're dead to Pyroclasm, but can't really play around that, so... Actually, I can just make... No, my opponent has to swing, and then force me to chump with everything. This game has been crazy. It's kind of wild that I'm still in this somehow. Okay, so they're going the Oath route instead. Sphere. Oh, that's brutal. Can I make enough zombies? Maybe I can, actually. So let's Zombie Infestation. Peach both of these. Then activate Zombie Infestation again. Get Rootwalla into play. Get another 2/2. Fear comes into play. Opponent needs to attack. They didn't. Well, now I win. Because now on end step, the Krovigan Horrors come back. Say yes. I guess I pitch this for a squee. Might as well. Pitch Krovigan Horror for another squee. And now some Infestation. And now I have lethal attackers. Even if my opponent blocks there. My opponent had to attack last turn. Yeah, that was a little bit of a misstep on their part. Okay, Naturalizes, please. And thank you. And I guess Withered Wretch and Sabos Web are the cards I care about. I don't think Cabal Therapy is where I want to be, and I don't think Birds is where I want to be. It's kind of awkward because, you know, we need Bird. The thing is with 4 Oath and 4 Pyroclasm, like the birds are just going to die a little bit too often. So I just have to hope that my opponent... Yeah, this matchup seems pretty bad. I just have to hope that my opponent does not find a bunch of their LD spells. I think maybe I just need the therapies because I'm in such bad shape otherwise. Only 24 creatures, so it's not super exciting. Some Infestation, I guess I can cut 1 maybe. Yeah, all my other cards are just better than therapy. Like, they're just more important. So I'm just gonna go with this. Only 2 therapies. Definitely low in the creature count. I like to be closer to like 26, 27. Okay, so this hand has a bunch of lands, which I'm into in this matchup, and it has some actually relevant cards. So I'm going to keep this. Turn 1 Mox into Sphere is bad though. Or like Library or something. Yeah, turn 1 Library, brutal. Okay, just gonna, I guess, play my Llanowar Waste. Oh no, I should have, yeah, because this gets Wastelanded, this does not. So it's more likely than Wasteland gets there. So this Llanowar Waste is getting destroyed. Basically, doesn't matter how. I was thinking that I want to play something that allows me to cast Withered Wretch, but this is not great. Yep, there's the Wasteland. So now I allow my opponent to potentially double spell. Okay, here's a green source. So we're not going to be casting this Withered Wretch, because we're just going to be naturalizing. At this point, I don't think I can really realistically naturalize the Sylvan Library though. So I may go after the Mox Diamond, depending on what my opponent does. Port. Okay. I guess I'm just gonna blow up the Mox, like slow my opponent down a little bit. This Wretch may play though. If my opponent doesn't have another way to blow up my lands, I can play Wretch and exile a land. Try to keep the Terror a little bit in check. But I mean, Port is just going to destroy me here. Man, this deck is so good. Why do I ever not play this deck? Okay, so here we do get to Wretch. So that's at least something. If we somehow get to untap with this, then we can make this Terror a little bit smaller. And I'm not, as is, I'm not dead over 2 turns, so I can keep this Terror in check. Port doesn't stop me from doing that. Take 6 here. It is what it is. Let's see what else my opponent has here. Pyroclasm, yeah. That's probably game. That is game. What else now? I feel like I want more this card now on the play. So let's bring in maybe all of it potentially. Cut another Zombie Infestation. Cut the Masticore, I guess. And I guess 3 therapies, 2 duress, and the Baloth. Man, 22 creatures is not something I'm stoked about. But this matchup looks heinous for us. Maybe I should be cutting Cradles, because they don't really count as a land. Actually, that doesn't disgust me, if I'm being honest. Feels a little bit counterintuitive, but I think that, I don't know, it makes sense in my head. Maybe I'm wrong there. You can just, you know, tell me in the comments how stupid this move is. Maybe Survival is what I should be cutting, actually. Yeah, actually, let's cut Survival for another Zombie Infestation. Maybe that's another silly thing to do. Once again, we shall see. Yeah, I guess I'm gonna keep this hand. Has a lot of potential. Really wish I had access to a black source, but it is what it is. Play land, say go. Play Survival on 2. Hopefully my opponent doesn't have a Mox start, nor a Naturalize. No, I guess Naturalize is not that big of an issue anymore. Yep, there's Naturalize. No black source. That part sucks, but it is what it is. Don't blow up my land. Sphere. Okay, I'm okay with that. So now what? I think I want a Cabal Therapy Oath. Got him! And now we're going to, I guess, use Squee to go get another Squee. Maybe Krovikan is just better. Treetop. Factory get in there. I guess I'm just going to go get Uktabi, because if I find the land, I can just cast it and blow up the Sphere. Boom. So now we get to start to put some Arrogant Worms into play. Okay, maybe we're cooking here. Maybe we can do this. Now the worm does something. Opponent's got a lot of disruption over there. Fire off the treetop. Alright. We do get to attempt to race back. If they port the swamp. Yeah, I think we're just going for it. We're gonna cast the worm. And I think I want Mongrel. It's definitely great. So I know they have Pyroclasm in hand. So I can Survival, Peach, Rootwalla to Flashback Therapy, name Pyroclasm. And here we're just gonna get a Krovikan Horror, I think, so that I can get value from Mongrel next turn. They have 2 Pyroclasms? Oh baby. Oh baby. Please don't draw Oath. That's all I'm asking for. As long as my opponent doesn't draw Oath here, we're gonna be cooking. But obviously if they just draw Oath, we're not gonna be in good shape. I mean, this worm is putting on pressure though. They cannot just have this turn, I guess, because otherwise I can just find Nantuko. This game has been great. Like, it's a big difference when I do draw the lands, and those lands don't deal me a gazillion damage. My opponent not finding their LD is also a big deal. Funnily enough, Cradle would be a fantastic draw here. Because of how this game ended up playing out, which I'm not sure if that's how it's always going to play out, but yeah, there's one comfortably sitting here in my sideboard. No lands in the graveyard, so if my opponent has a Terra War, it's just a 0/0. I guess they can just play a fetch land and make it 1/1. So after some tanking, my opponent finally chooses. They choose to play the Wooded Foothills. And now they're casting another Sphere. Interesting. I can work with that. If they port, they don't. If I swing, my opponent can threaten to block. Yeah, let's swing. Offer the trade. Oh, they can't actually activate both, so this is just a good attack. We can just play a land and just play a Mongrel and send it back. Opponent forgot to port on my end step. Hope that doesn't come back to bite them. We may end up in a spot where I'm just going too wide for my opponent here. Okay, so that was it. My opponent just conceded right there. Shout out to my opponent. They were having a lot of fun over there. They told me that they liked the channel, so thank you for that, and we'll see you in the next video. Round number 3. This is on the draw. I think I keep this. We're probably gonna be therapying on 1. Basic Plains into Savannah Lions. So what can my opponent have on turn 2 that I'm scared of? Soltari, one of those Soltari dudes. Silver Knight. First strike is kind of annoying. Shadow Creature's probably more annoying. Let's go with Silver Knight. Meddling Mage? That's interesting. Yeah, I guess I'm gonna go for Meddling Mage. I should be naming Silver Knight most likely, but by naming Meddling Mage here, I prevent the absolute worst case scenario, which is my opponent just named Survival. What? Excuse me? What the hell? Whoa. That's a heck of a deck. Rancor? Armageddon? Wuxwane? Oh my god, my opponent's deck is insane. They Rancored up a freaking Savannah Lions, and I'm just taking 4 to the face right now. Okay, that's a card. That's a good draw. Tell you that much. Do I take the trade is the question. That was a really good draw. Opponent found the land, so they're gonna be able to, yeah, so they have Exalted Angel now. No attacks, huh? Masticore is an interesting one. Yeah, I think I have to play Survival here, and I'm probably gonna discard the Masticore, I guess. Wasteland, oh my god. This is brutal. If they spend their turn flipping Angel, though, what I can do is I can just take the 4 and pitch this Masticore to go get the Bone Shredder. Okay, so they're spending their turn using this, so let's pitch Masticore, and I think I'm just gonna get Squee here. I guess I could get Rootwalla. Actually, I'm just gonna get Bone Shredder. I'm just terrified of this Wasteland, of this Angel. So this forces the Wasteland, which means that the Angel cannot morph as is. So I'm showing them the Bone Shredder, which kind of sucks, but I'm gonna take the hit here and then tap. My opponent has to Wasteland. There's no way they don't. No Wuxwane. Silver Knight. So I can draw any land that... Perfect. I think I have to play as if my opponent is not going to draw land. If I play Survival, I can get that engine going. I'm just going to pass the turn and play this Arrogant Worm, I think. If opponent Geddons, I may actually be in pretty good shape. Oh, they top deck Swords to Plowshares? It's not fair. Alright, so here's the Arrogant Worm. That's a really good draw for them. Man, very cool deck for my opponent over there. I have to continue taking these Savannah Lions hits, mostly because I can't afford for this Rancor to be put on the Silver Knight. Which is a very, very funny thing. I guess I Bone Shredder. I guess I just Survival here. Let's play another Survival this turn. And we're going to have to pitch this Veloth to go get something else. I'm not in good shape here. Like, this Rancor is just messing everything up. Like, I would be in very good shape if it weren't for this stupid Rancor. That's devastating. I just have to keep taking infinite damage because of the silly Rancor. Oh, come on. Mom. Not mom. Okay, what do we get? Could get Burst of Paradise. I think I just have to get Squee. Okay, that's not terrible. So let's now, I guess, kill the mom. My opponent's draws have been very nice. Yeah, I still can't attack because if I attack with this, then my opponent gets to swing with Silver Knight. And like, this is my only removal, so if they find the land, yeah, okay, now they get to flip the Angel. Now I'm super dead. Yeah, okay, I'm just dead. Wow, that was brutal. We have some cyber cards though. Engineer Plague, Plague Speeder, all of these cards look fantastic to me. And I think that's it. Let's cut some Cabal Therapies. I like some Infestation, I like the birds. Uktabi can go. And one more card. I don't think I'm bringing in Naturalize. Can maybe cut a Baloth. Because Masticore actually seems like it could do some work. My opponent's deck is very cool. I really like what they have going on. And I've been thinking about like a green-white style aggro deck for a while. My list was not really going all the way up to Exalted Angel. But maybe it's just worth doing. But there's something about green-white, like Woxwain in particular. Like I just love Woxwain. I think that it's a fantastic card. It's just very well positioned in the format because of exactly what we just saw. You know, like you're playing it in an aggressive deck, so it being +2/+2 is very, very relevant. And being able to leverage that with, you know, against a deck that otherwise Woxwain, like a disenchant effect, for example, can be bad in, it's a big deal. And then the fact that you can answer Oath or Survival for a single white mana, it's obviously a huge, huge deal as well. So yeah, it looks like a pretty good Woxwain shell. Maybe I should not have Vigilante here, but I'm a little bit scared of my opponent having something like Crusade or something like that. Okay, on the play. Yeah, I guess I'm gonna keep this. So I want to name Mother of Runes with this Cabal Therapy. I think that's the card that I'm most scared of. We do have Cradle plus Survival, so if we find any creature, we can really go off with our mana thanks to the Rootwalla. Cradle plus Survival plus Rootwalla is a heck of a combination. So let's lead on these on Mother of Runes, and we hit. Perfect. So opponent has a pretty good hand over there. Soltari Priest, Wasteland. Turn 1, they're gonna Wasteland me. Interesting. Play a land, pass the turn. I think I'm playing some Infestation on 2. Potentially bait out the Waxwain. Maybe we should be playing the Wild Mongrel, but I think my opponent's definitely swording the Wild Mongrel, so I'm not really getting that much value. If my opponent doesn't do anything, then this mana goes wasted, so yeah, they have to Waxwain there. So now I get to play Survival. Hopefully we find a creature. Oh, Whipcorder. Another banger of a card. Well, here we go. Play a land, say go. And I have to play the Cradle there, unfortunately, exposing it to another Wasteland, but I think it's very important for me to just use my mana here. Hopefully I did not find a disenchant. This is just, okay, this is just Soltari Priest. So I can work with this. Okay, this is cool. So let's pitch Survival. Survival to Squee, get Rootwalla, pitch Rootwalla, get a 1/1, get another Rootwalla, pitch again, get another 1/1. Now we make 2 mana. We get to flashback naming Swords to Plowshares. Flashback the Cabal Therapy, that is. I can pitch Krovikan Horror to get it back, but that doesn't really do anything, so we're just going to go for the full amount. Set up a bunch of mana next turn for Cradle, and yeah, this looks good. So Flashback Therapy, name Swords to Plowshares. Boom. Uh-oh, my opponent's got a Rancor. Oh, but no green mana. Okay, the best they can do is Silver Knight, so I'm doing pretty well here. So Dire Priest gets in there. So here what we can do is we can just play out the Wild Mongrel. I guess that one's free to play. So play out the bird, play out the Mongrel, and here we get to draw a bunch of cards. We're gonna get to draw all of our Krovikan Horrors, although I guess we have to use this right now. Because we could use this turn to get Arrogant Worm into play by just pitching into Mongrel. I think I'm just gonna get all the Krovikan Horrors into play and another bird. So get Squee, pitch Squee, get a bird, and play the bird. Go to end step, get back those horrors. And now these mongrels are going to be humongous. My opponent's going to have to respect them. We can also, oh, we can just get Masticore here. We're going to have a bunch of mana. We just go get Masticore and start dealing a lot of damage. The story here obviously is, you know, my opponent's mana this time around is not really functioning. Untap, get back Squee, draw another bird, so I guess I might as well play it. And now we're going to go add 7 mana, Survival, pitch Horror, get Masticore, cast Masticore, obliterate your board, just to make sure I don't randomly lose the game for no reason. We get a very clean attack too, which is cool. So we pitch the horrors and the squee, and then we get the horrors back. So deal 5, send the turn, get back horrors. And we may just have lethal next turn. I don't think there's anything my opponent can draw. Another whip quarter. Okay, so this is just game. So second main phase, and we have to make sure that we do this on second main phase so the horrors actually come back. And what do we want to draw? We want to draw, I guess, another Wild Mongrel. Corvican Horror comes back. Upkeep, Squeeze, Masticore, Pitch Horror, Engineered Plague on Human. I mean, I don't even need to show them. This is 8 mana. We just blow up all their dudes and just swing for not necessarily lethal. How much is this? 4. Because we're gonna have only 2 mana. Okay, opponent just backs it in. Cool. On to game number 3. Any changes? Did not really see anything new. Maybe I'm supposed to cut the Vigilante for another Baloth, just because a beefy creature matters. But just having a way to work around the Rancor shenanigans seems potentially relevant. I don't think it's relevant enough for me to want Withered Wretch. Like, this card is just pretty hard to cast, and it kind of doesn't do enough. So I think I'll just go with this. Turn 1 Bird. Yeah, this hand looks great. Yeah, this hand is very, very good. Turn 1 Plains into Mom. Turn 1 Basic Forest. Birds of Paradise. Here we go. Question is whether we want to go for Survival on 2 or Zombie Infestation. I think we just want to go for Survival. Nice pickup. Not bad. Question is going to be whether we want to, like, what we want to do here. Oh, funny that if they put a Rancor on the Silver Knight and then they give it pro green, the Rancor falls off. So that's hilarious. So 4/2 Trampler. That's a healthy amount of damage right there. So end step. We're going to Rootwalla. And the question now is, I think we just want to start using Horror Squee. Okay, so Survival, Pitch Horror, get another Horror. Survival, Pitch Horror, get Squee, Zombie Infestation, discard 2, make a dude, and pass the turn back. We're gonna get it back some Krovikan Horrors on end step. We're gonna start going wide here. We have the nut draw. Like, our draw was kind of outrageous. Our draw was very outrageous, actually. So they swing for 6. I think I can take it down to 9. Second main, discard, make a zombie. And I think I'm discarding the land. I don't think... actually, I need to discard the Mongrel. Yeah, never mind. Krovikan Horror first, then Mongrel. Otherwise, the Horror doesn't come back. Man, I almost made a misstep there. I forgot how the card actually works. Okay, so now Squee comes back. The basic is not bad. So we get to swing here and make some more dudes. I think I'm okay with that. I also like that the Rootwalla gets to attack because my opponent has to respect it. Although I guess these are 1/1s anyway, so... We have to remember that we have 4 life in the bank thanks to Baloth. Opponent gives what? Pro black here? This is a pretty big misstep because now I can Bone Shredder. So Survival, Pitch Horror, get Bone Shredder. And now Bone Shredder kills, I guess, the Mom? There's honestly an argument for killing the Silver Knight there. But so now what? What's the best course of action here? I guess I have to take 1 to discard Horror. And I guess I can get a Basking Rootwalla. Yeah, because this allows me to go Zombie Infestation, discard both of these, get another zombie, get 3 dudes back, and now I get to discard again. We get to make zombies again on my opponent's turn. Wasteland. Swords to Plowshares. This zombie is fine. I'm still gonna take the Chomp block. This might as well. I'm not paying for the upkeep. So block there, but yeah, in the face of First Strike, obviously, doesn't really matter to put more dudes into play right now. Oh, I messed it up. I actually messed it up. Like, I had to make the zombies right then and there. I was counting on the Bone Shredder being on top of my dude so it can come back. And now I messed it up. So I missed out on a zombie. So now Krovikan Horrors make it back on my end step and I can make 1 more zombie on the way out. Is this lethal? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 13. Okay, yeah, I messed that up. I should have a 3rd Krovikan Horror in my hand. We'll see whether that punishes me or not. So now Squee comes back. It's actually not a bad pickup, because now I can cast the Baloth painlessly. So I swing with everything. This is 5, 10, technically threatening lethal by swinging with everything. So they block one of these Rootwallas. I pump the other one. That's 13. block a zombie. Okay, so I still bump one Rootwalla, and that's 12. They can plow if they want, but then I just bump the other Rootwalla, so it's fine. Perfect. All right, got there. Cool, 2-1. This deck is fun, man. This deck is a lot of fun. Like, all of these Krovikan horror tricks are super interesting. I'm loving it. Once again on the draw, playing against my nemesis. This is Fer_Magic, the Argentinian legend. This hand is fantastic. I was thinking the other way. I don't think I've ever beaten Fer just yet. I feel like he's literally X&O against me. We played in paper once, and he beat me, and then we played online at least like 4 or 5 times, and he beat me every time. Wooded Foothills. Let's see what this is. Lackey. Okay, I mean, under most circumstances, I would lead on Burst of Paradise, but considering the fact that my opponent's got a Lackey, I have to hope that they don't have what usually comes after the Lackey, which is a removal spell for my 1/1 dude. Port. Right, this is cool. All right, so now they're gonna port me, and I get to play a bird. So this is yet another blocker. Obviously, I'm not gonna attack. And now I get to play, I guess, play Survival on 3? Mog Fanatic. Yeah, that sucks. Oh, come on. Brutal. Wait, how? So he had both of them? What happened there? Why didn't he just kill my dude on turn 2? Maybe he just didn't really have anything to put into play? That seems super unlikely. Well, let's see what he gets. Ringleader. I'm gonna have to play Mongrel here. Question now is whether I play the bird. I think I do. I think it's close, but I think playing the bird there makes sense, because my opponent's not super likely to be able to answer it right now, and by doing this, I'm playing around my opponent using port. So now they're not going to be able to really kill this mongrel. So they're going to have to spend their turn playing Ringleader. We'll see what they find. My best draw would be like Squee or some other creature like that. Ugh, that's a 3/1. Actually a 4/1 counting these two right here. On the plus side, we have Blank the Lackey. Let's see if that's enough. That's a very nice pickup. So let's play Survival. And man, I'm so terrified of Sharpshooter here. Let's activate this now. So cast the Rootwalla, get Krovikan Horror, pitch Horror, Kui, pitch, Squee, I guess get another Rootwalla, send the turn back. Now we're gonna get back the Krovikan Horror. So the reason I did that main phase is because my opponent could have Naturalized, and if they do, then they put me in a situation where I'm just like, I just don't have enough, right? I just don't have enough creatures in hand to get that rolling. So one's gonna have a War Chief here, which we're probably gonna have to kill. There it is. So not everything's got haste. It's a Mog Fanatic. We still know about the Ringleader. The one thing we don't want to see is Sharpshooter. Sharpshooter would be a really big problem. Pile Driver. Oof, that is a lot. Oh, really? They just send everything, huh? Okay. Very good, by the way. No, they actually messed it up. They should have let the trigger resolve, then pitch. So, well, I'm pitching this Rootwalla because I'm going to need it to block. So I can take 9, 11, 12, go down to 6. But this actually allows me to get rid of both the War Chief and the Lackey. I think that's worth it. So we're going to take a bunch of damage from this Pile Driver. But now my opponent is kind of out of gas. Oh, 1 second. I guess it doesn't do anything here. Never mind. Squee comes back. Another Horror. Pitch Horror to go get Rootwalla number 4. And then let's pitch Squee to go get, I guess, a Baloth? Masticore maybe? Or Bone Shredder. Let's get Bone Shredder. I guess we can just Bone Shredder this. I think I really need to save the Bone Shredder for... We have to save the Bone Shredder for the Sharpshooter. Goes for Ringleader again. Let's see what this reveals. Oh, there's the Sharpshooter. So he can't really attack here. Yeah, so now, second main. Pitch Krovikan Horror. Get another Horror. Pitch this Horror. And get Squee. Pitch Squee. And I guess we get Masticore. My best draw would be Cradle. If I draw Cradle, I'm going to be pretty comfortable that I win this game. Let's see what we draw. Another Survival doesn't really do anything. We can just play out the Masticore. We can just play Bone Shredder to kill the Pile Driver. I kind of want another Mongrel too. Yeah, let's just go get another Mongrel. Pitching the Squee. Really wishing I had access to more mana. Send the turn back. I think we just discard 2 Horrors. We're not getting them this turn anyway. There's Matron. I think that what he's planning to do is to get War Chief and Sharpshooter into play in the same turn. Yeah, there's Prospector. Oh, he can do it now? Okay, I guess I'm just dead. Man, I was just short mana to do this stuff. Man, Fed is so good, man. So there's the War Chief. There's the Sharpshooter. So I guess what we have to do here is, in response, pitch this, put it into play, pump it. I Yeah. If I pump it, I force my opponent to sack something else to kill this. One notable thing is if I block the War Chief, this is going to lose haste. Oh, but there's one on top on the stack. I'm an idiot. Yeah, I'm just dead here. I'm exactly dead. No, I'm not exactly dead for this. Oh, never mind. There it is. they had a 1-drop goblin. Yeah, that's dead. Sharpshooter. Okay, we have some good cyber cards though, at least. So bring all of these. Uktabi out. Nantuko out, and I think Therapy out. I support, so maybe Sabos Webin over Therapy. Just get all of them. Guess I should have had the Bailoff after all. Should have gone for the Bailoff. Maybe that turn where I just went to like draw a bunch of things, I should have just put a 4/4 into play. In retrospect, it was my lack of board presence that ended up costing me the game. So maybe there was a way I could have played that game differently. That turn that I went and I got the 2 horrors and the squee, what I should have done instead is play the Arrogant Worm, just not get a bunch of cards into play that didn't end up adding up to anything. But yeah, alright. Live and you learn. I thought that it was a good window to get value, but turns out it wasn't because he found the Sharpshooter in time. We get to be on the play now. This hand looks pretty good. We're going to be taking a bunch of damage from this city though. That part I'm not super stoked about. This hand has a bunch of the pieces that we're looking for. All to 6. So here's a bird. Pass the turn. Funnily enough, it would have been much worse for him to have Mog Fanatic than Lackey, because Lackey just gets very cleanly answered here. Next turn we get the party started. You have to watch out for Tranquil Domain. It does get it's pretty good. I kind of want to play out a Bailoff here, because it's not guaranteed that I'm going to have enough time to deploy this later. And just having a 4/4 here sounds like a big deal. I also get to play around, like if my opponent's answer is Tranquil Domain, I get to play around that too, which is cool. Yeah, I guess the same reasoning still stands. Wasteland's kind of annoying there. Siege Gang, Sharpshooter. Yeah, we just keep on playing super defense. Wonder if I should be attacking, but I'm just so terrified of my opponent just playing a bunch of pile drivers and I'm just dying out of nowhere. Once again, I'm a little bit short on mana. At least that's until he gets rid of this plague. This Sharpshooter's no good. Gem Palm on the bird. I'm starting to believe that I should be attacking here. This is kind of getting out of hand. Play Survival. Yeah, I'm just gonna start attacking here. At least with this Bailoff. Yeah, I just have to threaten that I'm doing something here. I have a blocker for the pile driver. If my opponent has Naturalize into Sharpshooter, or like Tranquil Domain into Sharpshooter, we're going to die, but we're cooking otherwise. So end step, we get to Rootwalla to get another Rootwalla. I guess I do pitch the Rootwalla here. Untap. Yeah, so I swing with everything because I'm threatening more damage this way. And the nice thing here is that I don't need to pump. So now what I can do is I can go get Bone Shredder. Or, oh, Plague Spitter. I can't sack the Plague Spitter though. I can gain 8 life though. I guess I'm gonna risk it. And if my opponent kills this, then that kills their board as well. Okay, no Naturalize on end step. Yeah, okay, we win. Cool. Man, that felt a lot closer than I was hoping for. Man, should I just having Cabal Therapies? Yeah, maybe over Sabos Web. Maybe Therapies are just fine to combo with Plague Spitter to trigger this at a moment's notice. Let's go with that. So this hand has a ton of potential, but it gets destroyed by Naturalize. I think I keep this anyway. We can play Rootwalla on 1, play Masticore on 2, play Survival on 2, sorry. I'm definitely playing this out because if my opponent plays a Goblin on turn 2, then I'm in a situation where I have to block it, but it's rough. Wasteland. So here Survival, go. No blocks. There's no way I hold back to block there. If they have the Cycler, okay, no Cycler, that's a huge deal. So now we go Squee, pitch, get Rootwalla, pitch, Rootwalla. So now I'm putting my opponent in a spot where they really need to get rid of my Cradle. Otherwise, they're just gonna fall too far behind. I'm also threatening to pump. So they do use the Wasteland, which puts them back to 1 land. They missed a land drop last turn. And now I can get probably Mongrel? Yeah, Mongrel. Whoops, I actually made a mistake. I should have gotten one more Rootwalla. I totally forgot, actually. I messed that up. Alright, we untap. Hopefully not that big a deal. Plague Spitter is an interesting draw. The way things are currently standing. So send the turn back. Now this Mongrel's gonna be very hard for my opponent to kill. And we can keep the engine rolling. Now we get the Krovikan Horror. Sure, so now pitch Horror, get another one. Pitch Horror, get another one. pitch horror, get a squee, and pitch the squee to get survival, to get the Rootwalla. And now next turn we're going to be able to start attacking. So we get to discard a couple more. Now this comes back. Discard Rootwalla for good measure right here. And now we're good to go. Oh, blue mongrel actually looks hilarious. And now we're just going to go get another mongrel, and then my opponent can just never break through. We actually can get... No, just the one mongrel. Yeah, my opponent was like super... They had all the business, but like none of the lands. This is why I like to play like 24 lands in Goblins. Alright, see you in the next one. This is the second to last round. This hand looks decent. So we get to go turn 2 mongrel, turn 3 arrogant worm. Nice. Okay, so let's therapy. With Flooded Strand here, I think we name either Counterspell or Swords to Plowshares. Let's go for Counterspell. Should have named Swords to Plowshares. Okay, so we're playing against Replenish. That's kind of nice though, that we get to... They're gonna get to play Attunement here. But now I just get to play any creature and just flashback therapy naming Replenish. I guess we have to play the mongrel. I imagine my opponent's gonna discard the cards that I know. They just F6'd. Okay, well I'm definitely naming Replenish. And there we go. We take 2 Replenish, leave my opponent with Frantic Search, Swords to Plowshares, and Basic Plains. Next turn I guess we're just going to play Uktabi Orangutan for no value, but it is what it is. Here my opponent goes for the Attunement. Tithe, Wave, Search, Tomb. Okay, so we know Swords to Plowshares, Basic Plains. Obviously, if they find another Replenish, we're gonna be in really bad shape, but it is what it is. Recast Attunement. Krovikan Horror. Not quite what the doctor ordered, but it's fine. Here's a Silly Orangutan. That doesn't really do anything. At least the plus side of this is that every time my opponent attunements, they just keep discarding more and more cards. So it's actually card disadvantage for them, unless they find Replenish number 3, of course. But there's nothing we can do about that, so we just have to basically sit here and just wait for my opponent, just watch them continue to dig. Wave, Intuition, double, Swords to Plowshares gets discarded. So I guess this tells me that my opponent found something there because, yeah, so we're just gonna swing for 2 and just cast this Ravenous Bailoff. There's not really too much we can do, we just have to deploy our threats and just put as much pressure as we can. Probably cannot realistically beat Replenish. Discard 2 attunements, Intuition, and Darker Wastes. They have a wave, okay. We could draw, I mean, we're just gonna attack. We have to continue piling on pressure. Opponent's doing some stuff here. We're just going to keep on casting my threats. There's not really much else I can do. Eventually this is going to go away and then we can do our thing. Our best draw would be the Nantuko guy. Okay, land into nothing. So let's lead on an attack. My opponent's obviously going to get rid of the Arrogant Worm here. Looks like they don't want to get rid of the Uktabi. We're just going to play this Krovikan Horror. And now my opponent kind of has to exile the Uktabi, otherwise that's 1 point, which limits their Ancient Tomb action. I guess that doesn't really matter. Like, this still gives my opponent more time, because now the wave's gonna be gone. If this is Intuition, we're probably... Oh, actually they don't have the other part of the combo quite yet. They cannot actually go get triple Replenish. Oh, they just get Opalescence, and then they just Opal Wave me. Yeah. So now the Opalescence, still with 1 fading counter. We'll let that resolve. Wave exiles itself. So everything comes back. Here we're just short on mana. Okay, so we get to game for life. And we get to deal them too. Sacrifice the Arrogant Worm. Sacrifice the Krovikan Horror. Well, actually we're not dead here. Because I get to start buying back my own Krovikan Horrors here. Because I have 2 of them. This is cool. So we play Horror, and then we just sack it to itself, which brings back the other Horror. So deal 1 point. And I'm at 23, so they're gonna need to attack. So they need to draw something here, because as is, I am winning this race, I believe. So they still need something else. They can't just have blanks in their hand. And that'll do, because now that doubles the clock. So now they're actually going to be able to win this race. Ah, man, that was so close. Yeah, because I can't even try to answer one of these because I just lose. Okay, game number 2. Bring in the Duresses, Wither the Wretch, Naturalize, and Mesmeric Fiend. Like all of these cards, I don't want Uktabi, don't want Bone Shredder, don't want Masticore. And some Infestation even worth it here. Let's cut some Infestations, and I guess the Bailoffs. Just pretty inefficient. 2 more cuts. I think I'm just gonna cut all of this zombie. Let's cut our survival actually. And maybe... I really need therapy though. I don't think I can mess around with that. Yeah, I think we're just gonna cut this Some Infestation, which is gonna make all my dudes much worse. Yeah, I guess I can't really cut Some Infestation there. Cut a Worm? I'm really low on creatures though, but obviously I really want all my discard. What a weird spot we're in. I think I'm gonna cut a Squee. That may be wrong. Maybe I should be cutting another Some Infestation, but okay, what do we got here? Okay, I guess I'm keeping this. Super awkward draw, but we have, as long as we find any land, preferably a black source. I mean, we can still cast spells, which is pretty important. It's just unfortunate that our only land is the Undiscovered Paradise. This is quite a bit of value though, so let's take out the Seal of Cleansing here, send a turn back, and they play Skycloud Expanse. I guess I'm going to probably have to Therapy here. We're going to name Replenish. They drew a Flooded Strand, so nothing too crazy. And now I have to draw another land. We're falling a little bit behind here, but it's not the end of the world. Now we play the land, and I guess next turn I'm just going to play the Wild Mongrel. They play an Isle. Okay, finally. I think I'm actually going to play the Zombie Infestation and just main phase, discard both horrors so that one of them comes back here. As is, my opponent needs to take some damage in order to exile my zombies, so this seems fine to me. We do have the Naturalize for the Parallax Wave. Oh, I should have just Therapy the wave away. What am I doing? I was thinking I have Naturalize for this, but like I can just Therapy the wave. Oh, that may be a big deal. That may be a super big deal. So this, I guess, is still fine. Let's play out City now, which is nice, so we don't have to keep bouncing this. We can Flashback Therapy, I guess, naming Replenish. I don't want to attack because my opponent's just going to exile, and like Replenish is the card I'm the most scared of here. Boom, they had one. So their hand is Wave Replenish. Wave Ancient I mean. So what I can do, I guess, is Naturalize, and with that trigger on the stack, discard both Krovikan Horn and a Wild Mongrel. That is so the Naturalize doesn't go on the graveyard and just locks up my horrors. So I think I want to do that. Put that on the stack, Some Infestation, discard these two. They're gonna exile my zombie token, that's fine. Now the horrors come back. And now it's gonna be a matter of attempting to raise this Parallax Wave. Opponent casts nothing. Interesting. Well, going to make a 2/2 on their second main phase so that Krovikan Horror comes back. It's not a bad pickup at all. So swing for 2. I guess they have Intuition, which would suck. Some Infestation, pitch this to Madness, make it 2/2, Horror comes back. I think that's what's going on here, like end step Intuition. Oh, they did nothing. I am doing my best in trying to shorten the time that they have available as best as possible. There's the wave we knew about. Move over to second main phase, Some Infestation, discard both of these, Madness. Make another 2/2, get back Krovikan Horror. They play out the Ancient Tomb. They didn't do that last turn, which is interesting. Rootwalla's not terrible. So now we serve with everything. And I am gonna pump this Rootwalla. It's not like I have anything better to use my mana on, so pump Rootwalla. They take 7. So I can discard to get back the other Horror, but because no creatures go into the graveyard, like it's just exactly the same. So I'm just gonna pass the turn here. We're just going to do that in my opponent's second main phase. Obviously, we cannot beat Opalescence. Intuition. Oh, they just have it. Okay. Yeah, I mean, Replenish is such a great deck. What a busted deck. Damn. So now I can't have creatures anymore. And I actually don't have enchantments either. So we have to reset the entire game here. And we can't continue until I find another Naturalize. The rough part is like Naturalize doesn't even, it just gets me not dead. It doesn't really help me actually win. That doesn't do anything, so we're just gonna pass the turn back. This matchup seems pretty heinous. Their deck is just so redundant, right? Like I just discarded 2 Replenishes, but they have Intuition. Like their combo is just so good. It's just such an insane deck. We're just gonna hold on to the rest here. I don't think it really does anything. And I'd rather maybe they have like Mana Leak in their deck or something. And I'd rather save it for a turn where I can just duress into Disenchant, which maybe, I guess, next turn. They swing for 4 again. Reflecting Bull. Okay, I guess I have one more turn. Don't really have high hopes at this point, but I'm technically not dead. Pretty close to it, but technically not dead. Attunement. So that must be the only enchantment they had, because otherwise they would have played it last turn. Let's see if I find exactly Naturalize. Obviously, we're dead to Replenish and a plethora of other cards. They discard some lands and recast Attunement. Cradle. Perfect. All right. Yeah, that was rough. I just don't think this matchup is winnable. We're basically playing the rock, but even more without Deed and even more creature focus. So yeah, there's no way we can beat this matchup ever. Last round. This hand looks pretty good. Let's keep it. And I guess we're not going to play Root Walla on one, because I'd rather just go survival and then discard Walla to get my engines started. Basic Island. Pretty great draw. Something to play on turn 1. And that speeds up my process. Blue for Sapphire Medallion. Okay, I need to find something really quickly here. We're playing against Storm. I need to find, I guess, Uktabi. Another medallion. Yeah. Peach Root Walla. Put some pressure. And I guess I have enough mana to get another Root Walla. Like, I really need to put on a clock here. Oh, there we go. That's what I was gonna go fetch. So there's that. So blow that up, swing for 1. And now we can go find Vigilante. My opponent missing a land drop last turn is huge. Intuition for triple island. I respect that. Great choice of basics for my opponent. Shout out. So this card, Root Walla. We're going to cast get Vigilante here, and tap and go for that. Whoo, baby! Yeah, okay. So we're gonna do some stuff here. I need to make sure that I have enough mana. So Wild Mongrel, get Root Walla. Activate Survival. Pitch Root Walla. This is so far 5 mana with Cradle. Now we get 1 more of these. This is now 6 mana with Cradle. Get Squee, play a land, play a morph, flip the morph. And now, is it better to do some more Squee stuff or to pump? So we're gonna be swinging for 4 this turn, 5, 6. Opponent AKs in response there, that's fine. So we get to swing for 6, but then next turn we get to swing for 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. So I guess it doesn't really change the math. But also having more cards in hand doesn't really speed up my clock. So I think I'm just going to pump and just cash in this 4 points of damage. That Cradle draw was kind of insane. So my opponent down to 13 and they need to win this turn. Otherwise I have lethal on board. They just pack it in. All right, perfect. So playing against Storm, we want Duresses. We want Fiend. And we want all the naturalizes. Do we want Wretches? So what Wretches do is they make, I guess, just AK worse. Seems a little bit narrow. So let's cut the Baloth. Let's cut the Masticore. Let's bring in some disruptive creatures. Bone Shredder out. And I guess once again, we're going to be cutting some Zombie Infestations. It does allow me for a quick clock and creatures to throw away for Cabal Therapy purposes. I could also cut a land on the draw. Let's just cut some Infestation. Like, survival is just so important to go get Octavian and Tuco. Like, without survival, I would have easily lost that game. And Wild Mongrel, Arrogant Worm allow me for the fastest possible clock. So I think that this way of sideboarding is where I want to be. Interesting hand. So if I find a Black Source, this hand is very good. But unfortunately, I'm not guaranteed to find a Black Source here. We have 2 turns to find the Black Source. Is that enough? I think I'm going to ship it. Okay, this is much better. Perfect. So keep this, bottom 1 Root Walla. We're going to be finding it with survival anyway. And we have the naturalize, we have survival, we have a bird as well. Like, bird has been doing so much work. Depending on what they do turn 2, I'm going to go for survival, or I may have to naturalize. So if they play Helm on 2, that allows me to actually kind of go nuts. Ooh, that's interesting. So I can survival or Mesmeric Fiend. I think I want to start putting on pressure. Survival allows me to do that. If this gets countered or something, counterspell. Okay, I'm just gonna play out this Root Walla just to put on pressure. Next turn we get to Fiend / Naturalize. I guess Fiend and Naturalize. Let's start with Fiend, see what my opponent does. So if I take the Intuition here, I guess the best thing I can do is just to take the Smother. So if I take the Intuition, my opponent's forced to smother this turn and to smother the Mesmeric Fiend as opposed to my Mongrel. So I guess I'd rather do that. So we take the Intuition, serve with Root Walla, and then we're going to just play out Wild Mongrel. They can smother the Wild Mongrel, of course, but that means they don't have Intuition, so I'm okay with that. Oh, they smother the Mongrel. Okay, cool. We have the Naturalize for the Medallion. We really don't want them to draw land. Perfect. So they spend their turn playing Medallion, which is something that I can naturalize. So my opponent does not seem to be on Storm, actually. They seem to be on some sort of control deck, like blue-black control deck with Medallions, which is super neat. Take 4. Notably, that Polluted Delta I do wonder why they took the 2 points, the point from the underground river instead of the polluted delta, which now forces them to, okay. Yeah, I was not expecting this. That's a good draw though. So Therapy U, name Factor Fiction. That is very cool. I mean, I'm still naming Factor Fiction. And Thwart. Okay. So I can swing, which only forces my opponent to exile some cards, so I don't think that does anything. I don't think this Psychatog is attacking either, so we're just gonna sit here for a while. They found an island, so that means that now Thwart is online. Squee doesn't really do anything, so we're just going to sit here for a bit. I guess we could play out the Squee, but that's so bad if I draw Survival. So we're just gonna play Draw Go for a bit. Ugh, they drew something good. Ugh. Smother, so now their Intuition is back in their hand, which is a big problem. They can go Intuition for AK. Untap. Yeah, I'm just going to cast the Squee here. It's just a chump blocker. It's not only a chump blocker, but something that I can sack to Cabal Therapy. The fact that I can sack it if I want to, so if I top deck Survival, I can still get back the Squee, is kind of nice. Opponent obviously goes for AK there. So yeah, obviously my sideboarding quite poor considering what my opponent is actually playing. I sideboarded against Storm and turns out that my opponent's playing Psychatog, but everything I saw game 1 suggested that they were playing Psychatog. I think I just chump? Maybe they have like Tormod Crypt or something? I don't know, we'll see. Second Tog. Untap, we upkeep. Survival would be a fine draw. Another land is not where we want to be. Recast this one, pass the turn. I'm just going to continue chump blocking here. It's basically free. We have nothing better to do, so might as well. If my opponent wants to use counter magic on this Squee that I'm just going to continue casting, good for us. I don't think they have lethal as of yet. This is still obviously like a pretty good pattern for my opponent, because like they're using my mana on my turn until I find Survival off the top. Now, this is going to continue happening for a while until one of us breaks the stalemate. Unfortunately, Squee is indeed legendary. Lock it again. This is not the most fun match I've ever played, but I mean, it's actually fun, it's just repetitive. Is that actually something good? That may be something good. So now these Squee matter a lot more, because now I can cash them in for damage. Yeah, it looks like my opponent's actually going to counter this. Huh, they bounced for the Thwart. Interesting. Well, here comes Squee. Maybe I should have flashed back with the bird, because this may just be lethal. So Horror comes back. But now if my opponent double attacks, we are dead to something like, Gush, Factor Fiction, like all of those cards really pump the Psychatog. So we're gonna block one of these. Ooh, Deep Analysis. I'm surprised it didn't just like flashback Deep Analysis to begin with. Annul. We do get to see their part of their deck here though. So now I know I definitely do not need to bring in Naturalizes. I don't really have any removal, but now threats like Obstinate Baloth become a lot more valuable. Just anything that can actually put pressure on my opponent becomes a lot more interesting. But now we see Deep Analysis, we see Annul. This is 16. They have to discard one more card, an island. Okay, that is enough. Okay, so Genesis becomes a lot better. Some Infestation becomes a lot better. Cradle becomes a lot better. Still don't want Sabos Web. I guess I do want Wither the Wretch. This is actually meaningful interaction considering what I know now. And do I still want Uktabi? I think I do. Baloth is also interesting since it cannot be smothered. Let's cut 2 birds, and I guess I'm still cutting some Infestation in small amounts. Actually, I'd rather have some Infestation than another Baloth. It's just more efficient. On the play, Duress, some Worms. This hand needs some work, so I'm gonna mulligan. This one's better. Keep, bottom Vigilante. This one's pretty aggressive. I kind of like it. We get to be really aggressive here, which is super nice. Swing for 1. We're gonna flash into Rudwalas on end step. Okay, Island is good for me. I'm not going to play around Engineered Plague. If my opponent has it, they have it. It is what it is. Just playing Madness aggro here. Wild Mongrel is black. That's a nice pickup. Okay, what you got? If they have Counterspell, this is counterworthy here. Yeah, okay, so we do get to swing for 6 here. So they can drop a Psychatog here. Like, I'm still pressuring them a lot. So let's serve with everything. They can block the Mongrel. We pump Rudwala. Now we force the issue. Have to pump Tog. We pump using Squee. This is gonna cost them 2 cards. They pitch Annul. And do I want to pump again discarding the Swamp? I think I do. It gets me further away from pumping 2 Rudwalas next turn. Because like with any land, I just get to pump Rudwala twice. But yeah, that's a pretty good exchange for me, I think. If my opponent has a Smother though, we're gonna be in really bad shape. But as is, at least, I am kind of limiting what my opponent can do. Untap. Yeah, I guess we just have to play a land and pass the turn. This allows my opponent to factor fiction, which is a really big deal. They're still at 7 though, like that is so much life. Intuition for triple AK. It's a pretty good refuel right there. Man, that turn 3 Psychatog kind of destroyed us. I was really hoping that my opponent was stuck on black mana or something, but turns out they had it. Can't really cast this worm, so we're just gonna pass the turn back again. And we're falling pretty far behind at this point. It's not looking great for the good guys. Although I guess Psychatog can never be the bad guy, right? So who's the good guy here is debatable for sure. The reason I'm not attacking here, oh, that's a big one. Okay, so now we finally get to do this. The reason I was not attacking is if my opponent has Smother, they can just smother whichever one comes through. Like obviously I could have, they fought in response, I guess intuition versus everything else. I guess this matters. So yeah, let's go with this. I'm pretty sure they're just gonna take the 3-card pile. But yeah, so the reason to not attack is if my opponent has Smother, they just smother whichever one I pump. And yeah, I was gonna name Smother with this therapy anyway. So now we get to name, I'm kind of interested in naming Smother still, but we can name Sapphire Medallion to like guarantee a hit. So I guess we're doing that. Cunning Wish, Factor Fiction. I mean, all of those cards are a problem. Yeah, I don't think I can win anymore now. Because now what my opponent can do with this Cunning Wish is they can make their Psychatog unblockable whenever they finally assemble lethal. So at this point I think we're simply too far behind, which is unfortunate, but it is what it is. So let's just serve here to use up some mana. So, and I'm pumping this one because my goal is to force my opponent to use stuff. Yeah, I mean, not playing removal, obviously, it's pretty hurting here. Notably, even if we drew Withered Wretch, we wouldn't be able to cast it because of our mana situation. So we're gonna have to therapy Factor Fiction, because that may just be lethal otherwise. Opponents got the Smother ready to go. Cunning Wish, I guess they can also potentially Cunning Wish for another Factor Fiction. That's something that they could do. So they draw an island, we know that. Do I have any draws here? Some Infestation, I guess? My opponent can, once again, like, wish for a counterspell or something, but the Cunning Wish for Foff, yeah, that makes sense. So this may just be enough for lethal. So I have to make a 3-2 pile. My opponent just takes the 3, and this is 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 14, 15, 16, 17. So yeah, they have exactly lethal. So if they go for it, I'm dead. We'll see whether they do. Truth is, there's not really a reason for them to go for it. But yeah, looks like they're just choosing to go for it. Oh, triple Smother. That's funny. But yeah, they have exactly lethal. They can 17 me from here. All right, GG's. There we go. Okay, so after a 3-1 start, the wheels kind of fell off toward the end. We ended up 3-3. There's some things that I liked about this deck, and there's some things that I did not like about the deck. The good things that I liked are that your engine is kind of hard to stop once it gets going. So once you have survival plus some infestation, you kind of can't really lose unless your opponent does something completely absurd, like, you know, like Opal Wave or something like that. But the engine is really, really tough to stop once it gets going, and it doesn't actually need that many pieces. What it needs is a little bit of time. And this deck, which is the bad part, is kind of medium at getting time, but buying time, because you cannot really answer stuff on the board because your engine is taking up so many pieces that then, you know, you cannot really make room for stuff like removal. So, you know, we saw that a single Psychatog literally stopped our entire engine on its tracks. You know, like, we tried to go wide a little bit and it just wouldn't work because my opponent had removal and we did not. If at any point we have had access to like a single Smother, I feel like we probably win that last match, that game 3, pretty handily. But, you know, that was just not the case because we literally cannot make room for removal because we are already kind of in sideboarding. We're kind of shaky in terms of how much we're cutting in order to make room for the non-creature cards that we want to be bringing in certain matchups. And yeah, in order to make room for those cards, you kind of have to either make the choice of, I'm going to be cutting some infestation, which makes your engine even harder to assemble, or I have to cut cards that make survival harder to assemble. So if you end up cutting, you know, like a bunch of Squeeze and Krovikan Horrors, then your survival axis that is not going to work quite as well. And also, in consequence, your Summon Infestation axis is not going to work quite as well. And yeah, the fact that you have no card selection whatsoever was also a big problem. So you're trying to assemble an engine that requires you to naturally draw one of your 4 copies of survival and one of your 4 copies of zombie infestation, and there's nothing you can do about it. All you have to do is just, you know, pray that everything is going to line up, and when it does, it's going to be great, and when it doesn't, your deck is just gonna feel underpowered. So that is a problem that the blue-green madness decks don't necessarily have, because obviously they have a lot of card selection thanks to careful study, potentially portent, frantic search. So you have a lot of selection in those decks. And in this ones you don't, but you get access to Cabal Therapy, which Cabal Therapy was pretty fantastic. But, you know, against a deck like Replenish, for example, we were able to disrupt their stuff. We even got to Therapy to get rid of 2 Replenishes. Did not really matter, like did not really make a change, because my opponent was able to just get their stuff back together, and what they were doing was so much more powerful than what we were doing, and we just basically ran out of gas. So that is kind of a big problem that I don't know how this deck is going to be able to fix. So yeah, it feels like, funnily enough, it's a deck where you need to get lucky. And the issue that I have with a deck like this is that you need to get lucky, and even when you do, your engine is powerful, but it's not even the most powerful thing that you can be doing. So I think this deck, it was a lot of fun, like understanding all of the Kravic and Horror, Squee interactions and stuff, but I feel like it has some inherent weaknesses that are not really solvable, and that it just means that this deck can never be better than like a tier 3 deck. I mean, you feel free to prove me wrong and to actually go ahead. And like, my suspicion is that the player who took it all the way to the finals, which, by the way, shout out, like that's a great feat. And I think that they just run hotter than the sun during the entire nationals event, and everything just lined up great for them, because that's really like the only explanation. Like, the cards that I cut are kind of cutesy things that I changed. So I just added 1 extra land, which was the second Cradle, and I cut the Tortured Existence, and Tortured Existence wouldn't really have done anything in any of the matches that we played. So even if I had access to that card, like, that is, honestly, I think that is making the deck potentially worse. So by cutting it, I think the deck becomes better. Obviously, it's a sweet card, so I respect anybody who wants to play Tortured Existence, but I don't think that is a way to make the deck better, you know? And yeah, I don't know. Feels like a deck that you can play, and if you feel like you're gonna get lucky, it's probably gonna do some damage, and it's going to allow you to get some Ws, but it has some inherent weaknesses that are either unsolvable, or if you want to solve them, you will put yourself in a spot where you are hurting the deck so much. Like, for example, you can try to do something like adding Sylvan Library, but even in a deck like this, Sylvan Library is not going to be that great unless you also have access to Survival, which now you're asking for a lot, you know. Then also a problem, like, if you want to add stuff like Smother, which you could definitely do, but then all of a sudden, like, what are you cutting to make when you're sideboarding in order to make room for those Smothers? So it's kind of a problematic situation. And yeah, I feel like that's kind of what you get when you are registering a deck like this. This was nevertheless a lot of fun, and hope that you enjoyed it. If you have any thoughts, any ideas, anything that you would like to change, then you know, feel free to let me know in the comments down below. But this is gonna be it for me today, folks. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care, and long live Premodern. Have a good one.